Space whales? Nope, rather deal with devils. Chapter 71, Fan Fiction by Azazyel. Ravel Phenex wasn't pouting. She wasn't. Stupid human. My hands aren't nasty. Ravel muttered as she stomped out of her teleportation portal and into the bathroom. The young devil heiress strode into the bathroom larger than most humans could ever hope to have as a house, and she quickly made her way to the large full-bodied mirror. She looked at herself long and hard. And thought, I am not nasty. My hands aren't filthy. But then her mind drifted. Drifted back a couple of weeks ago. To a day that would haunt her memories. Ravel was speaking to risers Nikomata and Lee. And after their conversation seeing they looked rather glum at how weak they were with only chainsaws as weapons. She decided to be the adult and give them some supportive head pats. And as her hands patted the girls' heads and around their cat ears, Ravel realized too quickly that her hands were sticky. And she would never forget the pungent smell of her hands as Lee giggled about how Master Riser was naughty and got some of his kitty milk on their heads that they missed. Oh, my Satans. I am tainted by Riser's degeneracy. Ravel groaned in a low groan before she took a deep breath and left the bathroom. As she was still expected to report how the meeting went to her family. A quick teleport across the Phenex mansion, she was in one of the sitting rooms with her having sent a squad of the mansion's maids to go tell her family that she was ready to report on her findings. And a couple of minutes late, her father and mother had teleported into the room. Where is that blasted boy? Secrete's Phenex groaned as he folded his arms over his chest after 10 minutes of waiting for Riser to teleport across the mansion to the sitting room. The older man who had married into the Phenex family had blonde hair matching the Phenex bloodline's typical fiery blonde hair, but his was kept short rather than the stylized form the other Phenexes had. Ravel Phenex, the matriarch of the family, gave a sigh after another 5 minutes passed with her saying, "This is most uncouth. Perhaps we should have his peerage sent away to the grimoires to be hosted. It is clear he needs to understand this is rather undash." A loud crackle of fire rang out with Riser Phenex strolling out of his teleport with the young man buttoning up his dress-up shirt. That could be buttoned up anyway, as many of its buttons were clearly ripped off in a moment of passion. Ravel wanted to facepalm as her father's face twitched at the clear evidence that Riser had made them wait close to 20 minutes because he was too busy fucking either a maid or a member of his peerage. "You called for me, father?" Riser spoke proudly as he threw himself into a couch with a huff with him slicking back his hair with a hand. Secretes raised an eyebrow before he spoke dully. "Yes, Ravel met with the new, powerful human mercenary that is based around Kuo. Where your betrothed is living, if you could care to recall." Riser shrugged and looked boredly at his sister, with Ravel holding in a twitch of annoyance as she spoke bluntly. "Jake Barris has already formed a magician's contract with Rias Grimoire. And is fully prepared and desiring to help her defeat Riser in a raiding game in order to cancel out the betrothal." The matriarch in radio gave a slight hum as she watched as Riser scowled darkly at Ravel's words. And no chance of simply buying him out of the battle? No. He obviously knows that would go poorly and wants Lord Lucifer's approval and support. Bah, I can just kill the wretch. He isn't a devil, so the raiding game systems won't protect him as much, and any healers can be paid off to poison him or something. Riser snarled before his father retorted calmly. "Riser, you are firmly at the midpoint of high-class power of devils and that danger level is your Phenex regeneration allowing you to tank blows that would cripple or kill any other opponent." Ravel watched her father stare her brother right in the eye and say bluntly. He was able to cripple an ultimate-class Yukai turtle with hitting its shell and most defensive parts with a single hit. Not even Lady Graphia Lucifatu or Lady Leviathan could deal with that turtle as easily. His meaning was rather simple, actually. If Jake Barris had enough power or some power to cut through defenses, how would such power interact with Riser's regeneration? But that wasn't all. Ravel took a deep breath and spoke. "Riser. He is also blessed by a water god or something. As he can call upon holy water at will, so your regeneration won't work when splashed with the holy water." The room went silent at that. As that just wasn't a thing with contracted magicians. If gods found out they were contracted to evil beings like devils that weren't in their faction, the gods would, if they were feeling highly kind and merciful, just remove their blessing. And the gods were anything but kind and merciful when what they considered theirs went off and began playing with another group. I could still defeat him, Reiser said with a frown, and at Ravel and Radial looking at him in doubt, he shook his head firmly and said, "No. I can beat him, I can train hard, and I will prove the bloodline's glory when I defeat him and be named an ultimate class devil." Ravel's father scoffed and said, "Marathon sex sessions aren't real training even if Ni and Li have Senjutsu boy." Reiser spat and stood up with a snarl as he said darkly, "And what would you know, father? You don't even have the bloodline of your clan. I have all but infinite stamina when I am with Ni and Li, and I will beat him. To say otherwise is to spit on the Phoenix name." Reiser's eyes snapped to the real power of the household in the matriarch and snapped out, "Mother, make the raiding game date within this week between mine and Rias. I won't lose. I am a pure-blooded devil, and he is just a human wretch without any divine bloodline or sacred gear." Ravel tensed as her mother's fiery orange eyes tightened on Reiser's form before she exhaled and spoke coldly. "My son. You are making a mistake, but fine. I will negotiate with Venelana and Zeoticus for a raiding game." And without a word, Reiser spun on his heels with his form being engulfed in Phoenix flames as he teleported away. "That boy is in for a rude wake-up call," Ravel's father said with a wry smile as he took a drink of his coffee, as Ravel's mother put a hand to her forehead. And she couldn't blame her. It was going to cost some political favor to force a raiding game like this, not to mention the anger that Lord Lucifer will be feeling towards the Phoenix family, with how he clearly favored his sister above the Gremory house's prosperity.